Mindset and motherhood, mystery and ministry. You were never meant to remain frozen. You were meant to rise, rewrite, and be redeemed. And in this space, we will explore it all. Welcome to the Ink and Redemption podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Glass. Welcome to episode 3. And I deeply apologize for the length of time it took to do this. Little hint, if you haven't noticed, there is no video for this one. This one will just be sound. So anyway, true to Vicki form and the problems of ADHD, I made the decision to drop 5 episodes, and then I remodeled my first floor. And to be fair, the furniture was falling apart, so this was meant to happen at some point anyway. However, it distracted me to such a degree that now I'm playing catch up. And I do apologize. But welcome to episode 3 on anxiety and my 4 or 5 favorite ways to handle anxiety. This is actually a 2-parter. I'm calling this little section my boogeymen, my two biggest difficulties in life are anxiety and self-doubt. And this episode is about anxiety. And the reason I actually jumped into doing this episode was because I have finally been looking through my grandmother's Catholic Bible that was printed in 1950. And I was just thumbing through it because it's beautiful and it has amazing pictures. And I love the way that each book has got an indent instead of tabs. It's indented. These are the big Catholic family Bibles that a lot of Italian families have or had. I don't know if they still do. And you record all of the births and the baptisms and all of the sacraments in these Bibles. And this is I actually have 2 copies. One is kind of falling apart, so this is the one I'm actually going to be using a lot during this podcast, the life of this podcast, because I found this really cool section all the way in the back behind where you keep all the vital records, and it's called collation. And in it, they have a short little section on anxiety, which I thought was really cool. It begins with, need we be anxious about material things? Therefore, I say to you, do not be anxious for your life. No. Oh, I might make a note that I do prefer video because it's easier to edit. But let me start over again. Therefore, I say to you, do not be anxious for your life, what you shall eat, nor yet for your body, what you shall put on. Is not the life a greater thing than the food, and the body than the clothing? Look at the birds in the air. They do not sow or reap or gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are not you of much more value than they? But by being anxious about it, can add to the stature a single cubit? Now, I know a lot of people are familiar with this Bible verse, and there are a lot of Bibles out there who say it a little bit easier to read than this one was. But what sticks out to me always is, does anxiety help in any way the things that you are anxious about? And of course, the answer is no. No, and worrying about something, number 1, doesn't prevent it from happening. And number 2, just wastes your time. You waste all of the wonderful time that you had leading up to what may or may not happen. It's trapped in worry. Now, of course, I firmly believe that anxiety, which also can lead to self-doubt, comes from the darker side of, the devil. I'll just say it. It just comes from the devil. And anxiety is a waste of time, and it's really unhealthy to boot. So I did devise several ways to overcome anxiety. I'm going to start with my, hold on. So I love this section of Matthew, and I really love this version of it in my grandmother's Bible. I've been really leaning into this, and it really makes me feel God's love. And as for clothing, why are you anxious? Consider how the lilies of the field grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I say to you that not even Solomon in all his glory was arrayed like one of those. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which flourishes today, but tomorrow is thrown into the oven, how much more you, O you of little faith? Therefore, do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or things like the Gentiles seek. For your Father knows that you need all these things. But seek first the kingdom of God and his justice, and all these things shall be given you besides. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will have anxieties of its own. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. As of course is Matthew chapter 6, verse 25 through 34. Now, that's a big heavy Bible. I'm putting it aside. I feel God's love wash over me when I think about that. Everything that we need, he did give to us. And when it comes to the point where I'm a little too deep in the anxiety and worry, when I'm struggling the most, I also love that line, pray without ceasing. 1 Thessalonians, I always have trouble saying that, chapter 5, verse 16 through 18. That will literally swim around in my mind. And then I have to realize I have to distract myself, which now leads me into how I deal with anxiety. My favorite, and usually one of the most effective ways for my brain, is to literally switch the channel. When I get stuck on a worry, and I recognize it now when I get stuck. I didn't used to. Sometimes it would just, I would be in this worry circle and I would get stuck in there. Now I have trained my brain to stop, realize that what's happening is happening. I'm trapped in my anxiety. It's time to change the channel in my brain. My immediate go-to is music. I don't listen to music quite as much as I used to, but when I do get stuck into that circle, I pick songs like, this is going to date me. I know it is, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Wham! Wake Me. I love that song. And it's such an upbeat song that it can pull me out of whatever I'm going through. Also, Aha, Take Me On, and anything by Tears for Fears, obviously. Such a great band. Yes, I'm Gen X. Now, if my adrenaline is pumped too high and I need to calm it down, there's always Mazzy Star. Fade Into You is so mellow and can break me out of the worry cycle, but also when I'm a little bit too adrenaline fueled from the anxiety, Mazzy Star is wonderful for slowing everything down. And I begin to sway to that song. And if I also not in the mood for Mazzy Star, of course there is, gotta say it, this is two of my favorite movies. Princess Bride and Neverending Story. Princess Bride, what is that song? Storybook Story, which I really wanted to be my wedding song, but my husband always thought it was a little bit too corny. And then, of course, Neverending Story. And you must know what that song is. Everybody knows what that song is. I can't. If you don't know it, then I'm not even sure. So, those are typically the songs I will go to when I need to immediately change the channel. And it's nice to have Alexa downstairs and I can just tell her to play me one of those songs. And then the super song, my super song is Yazoo. Was it only you? Yeah, Only You by Yazoo. I don't know how to say it. I'm going to be honest. The band is out a little bit before my time. It comes down to an episode of Fringe. There we go. I'm also telling you I'm a little bit strange and I love sci-fi. It was an episode with Walter in the car. And all I have to hear are those opening notes. And I'm already in a better mood. My anxiety has been kicked thoroughly. Second effective way to remove yourself from an anxiety loop is to journal. If you're able to get to your pen and paper, journaling is really, really good. And personally, since I am a writer, this is very natural to me. I have been journaling for as long as I can remember. And I highly, highly recommend anybody, if you don't already journal, to start because it's a wonderful tool to take the big things in life and put them down on the paper, and they don't seem so big anymore once you've written them down. I'm probably going to touch on journaling every single episode that has to do with mindset work because it's extremely important. I also find the physical act of writing to be soothing. I know not everybody feels that. So perhaps maybe a voice journal or notes in your phone or on your laptop, that would work as well. I know some people, they get hand cramps when they write. That's very depressing to me. I can't imagine not being able to write. I write multiple times throughout the day. I mean, I make lists. I'm a list person. I have to write out what I'm going to do every day, all day long. Literally, I don't just list in the morning. I list throughout the day to keep on track. Because if I don't keep on track, I go and redesign my first floor and don't do what I'm supposed to do. So, I'm constantly working on myself as well. Mindset work is something that you don't just do one time and then think you've gotten over it. This is an ongoing, everyday, important part of self-care. So when you're journaling, what you should do is write down everything that is making you feel anxious or nervous. Just whatever pops in your head. It's a free form, free thought kind of writing. It's just stream of conscious. That's what I'm trying to say. Stream of conscious writing. Just write. Get it out. Get it out of your mind and onto the paper. And it helps to center yourself. And that's what I strongly recommend that. So you're writing down all of the things that are making you anxious and nervous. What I want you to do is write them out very specifically, as specific as you can get. And then below that, I want you to write out what's the worst thing that could happen. For each one of your worries, each one of your anxieties, write down what's the worst thing that could happen. And then I want you to look at that and say, okay, that's the worst thing that can happen. I can handle that. And then write down how you would handle it. What you want to do is to give yourself that self-confidence because you know you're capable. You are fully capable of handling whatever it is that is making you anxious. Now, if it's one of those cases where you're just a little bit nervous about something, you're not entirely sure what it is, stop. Think about, wow, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety right now. What could be causing it? What is going on in my life right now? Is there a bill I forgot to pay? Is there a deadline coming up that I haven't even begun completing the project for? Is a party, because I know a lot of people have social anxiety. Is there a party coming up that I don't really want to go to, even though I said I would go? This is an issue that I have had for most of my life, is for any kind of a social activity that I'm asked to go that's in the future, I'm like, yeah, definitely. I would be very much into that. I'll find myself being a little bit short-tempered, a little bit anxious, a little bit off kilter in the days leading up to that social event. And that's when I realized I wish I hadn't said yes to doing this because now I don't want to. And then I build this thing up so far, so big in my mind that it is just become this, new anxiety that I did not need to put on my plate, but I did. So write that out. Write down. Try to remember. Big thing is when you were asked to go to this social event, how were you feeling then? You're feeling excited because you were hanging out with these people and you love seeing them. Pull that back in. Write that down. Feel it. And then breathe through it because you're going to survive the social event. We do. And sometimes we even enjoy going. I'm sure we all enjoy a lot more coming home, but we did enjoy going. Always try to remember how you felt when you were invited to that social event. Now, if you were just saying yes because you are in the habit of saying yes and you didn't feel anything about that, maybe work up the courage to call and let them know that you are not going to make it. Don't just text. That's not confronting your issue. Call them and say, listen, I'm not going to be able to make it. And then you could feel that relief wash over you. But you have to make sure that you are honoring your commitment one way or another. Either you're going to go and you're going to get over the anxiety, you're going to work yourself through it, or you're going to get up the strength and courage to call and tell them you're not going to be able to make it. But don't lie about it. Say, I'm not feeling up to it. Don't have to tell them you're sick. You don't have to tell them, you don't have to make up some excuse that someone in your family is sick. I'm not a proponent of lying, but the truth is you don't feel up to doing it. And that's all you need to say. I don't feel up to doing it. You can let them fill in the blanks. So I guess that was like the third way of handling a specific anxiety. Because I know that those of us who suffer from anxiety get very worked up about social events. Maybe I will even do a whole podcast specific to social anxiety instead of just anxiety in general. Because I'm there with you, but I'm working through it. So the reason I'm flipping this into a two-parter, one about anxiety and another about self-doubt, because anxiety and self-doubt really go hand in hand. But self-doubt, I feel, is a little bit of a bigger, deeper issue. And I want to dedicate an entire episode to just that. My boogeyman number 2. And also, when I was going through the Catechism of the Catholic Church to do the research on anxiety, I noticed that self-doubt was their big theme. And I'm like, I really like this. So that's what I'm going to do. Next episode is going to be regarding self-doubt. This one is about handling anxiety, as you we're there for. At any rate, I have that one coming out. Oh, big news, because this is another thing that kept my podcast from coming out on time, which I will also dive into this a little bit of a mindset work, is that sometimes when I want to do something in conjunction with what I wanted to do with my podcast was also release a 5-day devotional. And I struggled to make it as perfect as possible, which is I'm going to get into that as well. And that also, between the devotional and redesigning my first floor of my home, I fully put off everything I needed to do. And I didn't do it on purpose. I'm going to be honest. Time just kind of moves without you. Also, another podcast idea is when you go into autopilot. That's going to be 3, 4, 5th episode is the marching time without you. I'm going to get into that. And what I'm learning now to try to counterbalance some of my propensities for getting stuck in my head, allowing time to pass before I complete something, and self-doubt. Those are all coming up. And my devotional is coming out today. It's a 5-parter. It drips out over 5 days. The landing page link is in the bio, in the show notes. You can find it on my Facebook page and on my Instagram links page. It is ready, and I'm so excited. It is so beautiful. You'll have my welcome email because you're also subscribing to my newsletter. You're going to get day 1 of the devotional. And the devotional is out real pretty in the email, and then you can print off a copy that you can write on. Now, it's also very pretty, so I would suggest printing. If you don't want to use a lot of ink, print it in black and white, so that, because the background is the beautiful beige that I'm falling in love with all over the place on my socials. If you do require a text-only version, absolutely feel free to drop me an email, vickyglass@inkandredemption.com. It'll also be in the show notes. Take requests. And I am so excited that you stuck this out through my ramblings. And I cannot wait for you to get your hands on my devotional. You get day 1 and the welcome email on the first day. As soon as you sign up, that comes right to you. And then the next 4 days, you'll get the 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you'll have a complete 5-day devotional by the end of it that you can use as often as you want. And I thank you for listening.